Welcome to our live streams. This is where the grown-ups trade. No hype, no flexing, no TikTok guru nonsense. Just focus, discipline, and respect for the craft. Here we trade gold, the oldest store of value on Earth, at the precision scalping level. That's where trading gets real. Where a single tick too early or too late decides everything. It's the hardest style of trading there is. And the highest form, too, because it demands mastery of mind, structure, and emotion. Execution over ego. Reaction over prediction. Can it be the most lucrative? Yes, but only for those who earn it. There are no shortcuts here. You can't fake discipline at 10-second speed. Most gurus out there sell you dreams from their demo accounts. We build traders who can survive the market on their own terms. We don't promise easy wins. We teach you how to build a system that doesn't break when you do. If you're here, you already know what that takes. Courage, grit, gumption, the willingness to get punched in the face by uncertainty and still show up tomorrow with your rules intact. Because precision scalping isn't just a trading style, it's a mirror. It shows you who you are under pressure, and it forces you to get better, not just as a trader, but as a person. The focus you build here, the emotional control, the ability to act without hesitation, those are life skills. They translate everywhere. So welcome to the Barcelona Trader, where we practice the hardest craft in markets and one of the most rewarding in life. Let's get to work.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What am I talking about? Good evening. It is time for the Asia session here at the Barcelona Trader. We have kind of a tricky situation laid out for us tonight. We've got the price right now hovering just above the daily pivot point, and there's a lot of volume in the market. And, you know, it's better than last night. Although I do think tomorrow are still some holidays going on. Let me just double check that. So for Tuesday, we have no, I don't see there as being big bank holidays on Tuesday. Okay, so I guess we're over that today, Easter Monday. Last night, if you were with me, I traded a bit and got whipsawed just immediately. I got into it, everything looked good. There's nothing I would do different. And I just got immediately whipsawed in the opposite direction, hit my stop loss, just really ruined my trading. You know, I set my stop loss pretty wide because I'm managing it manually most of the time here with the, you know, helping. I'm getting out when market structure tells me to get out, or, you know, the price crosses back over the 9 EMA that I use. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, thank you for bearing with me there. All right, so anyway, I was saying I got whipsawed out. I traded again this morning, but, you know, really just kind of broke even. There was just really not good trading for the way that I trade. Things just too unpredictable. There were some good movements, but just too unpredictable in the micro on the micro time frames that I like to use when I'm doing this precision scalping. So, you know, you can become very good at precision scalping. That doesn't mean that you're going to be an expert at every other kind of trading out there. You can be proficient at it, but everybody tends to focus, specialize in one way of trading. here at the Barcelona Trader, we are precision scalpers. And we do all of our charting on spot gold. You know, that tells us where the levels are. We calculate our pivots on spot gold. And we watch price action on spot gold. In fact, I've got, you know, 7 monitors up here, almost 8 monitors up here. And I only have futures gold, which is what I'm trading, on the middle pane of this one screen. It's the screen I'm sharing with you because this is my primary execution screen. And what we're looking at here on the upper left is spot gold on the 10-second chart. Right in the middle, like I said, is futures gold on the 10-second chart. They move in tandem, but they are at different prices. But you can see when one moves up, the other one moves up just about as far. So anyway, long story about why we chart on spot gold but do our trading on futures. There's a post about that on the blog. You can go to the barcelonatrader.com, scroll down past the yellow section, you'll start seeing the blog posts. You can just there's a search bar right above that, I think still in the yellow section, where you can just type in chart spot or something like that. A couple articles will pull up and you'll see the ones that talk about and explain why we do it that way. So anyway, and also if you want to understand how I'm setting up my charts and indicators to do this, also right there on the blog, I believe it's the first post. It was just published a couple days ago about the charts and indicators I'm using right now here in spring/summer of 2026. Okay, so anyway, over here on the upper left, we have spot gold. In the middle pane, we have futures gold. On the bottom left, we have the DXY index. That's the US dollar. Dollar moves inversely to gold most of the time, so I like to see what the dollar's doing, have that up in front of me. That's the 1-minute chart for the dollar. And then over on the right side, we have the spot gold Renko chart, which is being pulled in from my MT4, which is sitting actually just over here to the left of the screen. Down below, we have the FX Blue relative currency strength between the dollar and gold. And we can see right now they're pretty even, although gold is looking a little bit weaker than the dollar, which would mean price ought to be going down, and we're going up. So cool. That's why we have indicators. You know, you learn to read them like instruments in a plane if you were flying on instruments, because you can't look out the window, you can't visualize you can't actually see a market, so it has to be represented to you through software. There are a lot of different ways of looking at it. This is the way I'm looking at it. This is the way that we do precision scalping. So I'm going to open the Zoom room now and see, I don't know if anyone's joining me tonight, but I'm going to open the Zoom room. Let me pull up my calendar here where I have the link stored. Open that on Zoom. Get the OBS virtual camera going. And bang. Once that's up, we'll share the audio. There we go. Okay, let's take a little trip around the block here. This is the 1-minute chart. You can kind of see how that's been evolving since market open, which is this vertical gray line right over here. And this is the 5 minutes. So again, we're looking at the same thing. We came up, hit the previous day point of control, have been meandering down ever since. We got down here to really no particular oh yes, there is a pivot right there. What is that pivot? That is the daily pivot point. So, but we're ranging here right now between the previous day point of control and the daily pivot point right there. We've got the previous day value area low down here. Okay, so that's our 5-minute chart. you know, if you looked at the analysis that I uploaded to Facebook, you will see that, you know, we're kind of not supposed to be trading according to the analysis that we did between 46.46 and 46.66, the point of control right there. So this is kind of, you know, if you go down below the daily pivot point, we would say, you know, here's kind of the bottom end of our range, except we might not be able to reach the bottom end of this range now because of the pivot point being defended by passive buyers. Okay, so then we have over here the DXY. Again, we're looking at in this session, it looks like the dollar's been trying to push up. Gold has been, you know, as we said, pushing down inverse. Now it's coming back up, but looks like, well, dollar's still trying to push up. So up here we have the dollar on a 30-minute chart. Down here we have the dollar on a 1-minute chart, which is the same thing I have over on, you know, the main page, my execution page. This is the U.S. government bond yield. We are at 43.39, 4.339. That is, you know, down a bit from where we were earlier in the day. And here we have the gold volatility index and the VIX, all looking relatively tame. All right, so back to our execution page here. And we're just going to kind of sit in our hands and see what forms up. In the meantime, I will adjust some cameras here. We've got this music vibe going now, so we will kind of also enter our chill view and do some trading together. How about that? Okay. Very, very slow. Very slow market right now. Not a lot of liquidity here. All right. All right, that's the 8 o'clock candle right there. 8 o'clock on the button. So we're taking a little trip down. I'm on board with that for a quick little something. Oh, better get out. Well, it took $2. That was nothing. Ah, I should have stayed in. But I wasn't sure what that was doing, and we just got here. All right, let's reset the stats panel because that's all wrong. Taken one trade, and we have had, it's a $2 win, but I'm not calling it a win, that's a break even. All right. You know, as I said, we aren't supposed to trade until we get down here anyway, as per my analysis. So me jumping into that wasn't strictly by the book. There was a little bit of FOMO involved in that, sorry to say. Just saw that going and thought, well, it is 8 o'clock. Don't want to miss out on it. Might be the only good of the evening, given how slowly things have been going. Are we going to keep going down? We look over here. This is a 1-minute Hakanashi chart on my MT4. We have a big support zone right there. So I'm not too excited about going into that. Not going to trade down into that. Given how strong that support zone is, there might be a buy on the way up here, but again, we're going to run right back into the dip bit. We're really going to need some volume to drive down from where we are. You know, if you look over here, again, got this big support zone that we're driving into right here. This is a 15-minute traditional Japanese candle. And right here where I am, there's a big support right here. So we can either drive down through that, which is going to be tough, or it's going to bounce off of it like it did over here. Back, and we'll head back up. And here we go. I believe it has more in it. I didn't want to come down below. It's not worth it to take a loss on this trade. It should have a little bit more upward oomph to it. All right. Well, damn it. I took I guess a $3 gain. Calling that another break even. I'll get to that in a minute. Just want to make sure I'm not taking another trade here in the short term. Both of these trades have been really duds. I mean, on both of them, I thought we would go a little bit farther than we did with the price. And therefore, I only got out as price backtracking on me and threatening to put me in draw. And, you know, a little scalp. The trade was not worth going into drawdown over, so I was just going to get out with zero or, you know, a couple dollar loss or a couple dollar gain. On both of those instances, I just happened to get lucky and come down on a little bit of gain each side. Technically wins, but you know, you can't really call that a win. So let's take the stats panel again. 2 trades, 2 break evens. Again, you know, same thing as before. It's looking like we've got a floor under us. We've got a floor under us, and I don't want to trade down into that. You know, there's a couple pips through this little swing low that we're on here all the way down to, you know, these supports. You could even get a little liquidity grab going through these supports, but I think you're still going to come up unless we get just, you know, some catalyst that's going to drive us through that tonight. Or just, you know, a strengthening dollar that pushes down. Well, you know, it's still early. 8 minutes after 8 in New York. Again, here's that trip up that I was trying to take before. You know, with low liquidity, the market can be doing its own thing, you know, just doing its thing. And some buyer comes along, needs to make a transaction. for whatever reason, and it moves price because there aren't enough, you know, if he's trying to sell, there aren't enough buyers to absorb all of his sells, so the price keeps going down, 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 down until it finds sellers. Alright. Now, we're getting somewhere, maybe.
Uh-oh. So there were no illegal aliens. Meant to grant citizenship at birth to the children of illegal aliens. Because there were no restrictions on immigration in 1868. Hello? Of course they weren't thinking about illegal aliens, because there were no restrictions on immigration in 1868. Uh-oh.
Yeah, just kind of waiting for gold to move up. Not really seeing it do much of anything right now. It seems to want to go up, but you know, we do have a lot of resistance right here. You can see on the Renko. I pull this out, that same resistance here on the 1 minute. This is a 5 minute Hakanashi right here. You don't really see the same resistance there. You do kind of see it right here on the 15 minute. In this blue zone right here, which is a consolidation box. Just really, you know, unnecessary to trade in that. It's boring to not do it because we're sitting here wanting to trade, but we're not here to gamble or guess or, you know, even most of the time at this point I can intuit what, you know, what direction the next candle is going to print, but one candle doesn't, you know, at this time frame doesn't give you any profit. You need, you know, unless price is moving extremely fast, your trades need to last, you know, at least 15, 20 seconds, if not, you know, a few minutes. So I just want to get to some clean levels here. I guess if this starts coming down aggressively, I might try something. But again, it's just not, it's not great. It's not a great trading environment right here. All right, let's do it. We're sitting at the VWAP point of control. So Usually don't like to trade into that. But I do think there was some downward momentum here. I mean, this is very not really worth trading. It's, you know, offering me, well, now it's $3 in drawdown. It was showing me $7 in profit. I'm thinking, you know, I'm here for a little bit more than that. But now I'm $17 negative. So I don't really want to be doing that either. And I do think it has a better chance of going up overall than coming down. Overall, but I thought that right now it was going to come down here and touch the floor. Doesn't seem to be what it wants to do. I don't want to play this game. You know, I really thought that we were coming down here. So we aren't. I'm just going to buy a Condias right here. Take that $7 loss because I don't want it to turn into a worse loss. We'll just call that another scratch trade. Although I am going to call that a loss because that was $7. That wasn't $2 or $3. But for my trading psychology, that was another break even. Yeah, it would have paid me. Would have paid me if I'd been a bit more patient. But it also could have gone the other way. So I'm okay with that. Okay, I'll be right back, chat. had to go get some Girl Scout cookies. I was having a cookie emergency. Okay, we have 1 minute until 8:30. Let's see if we get any movement here. That would just be me calculating it wrong. Complete break even. wasn't, but I saw that it was coming down, and boy, I should have been in that cell. My read is not on tonight. Now I should be explaining why I'm taking these buys and these sells, like exactly what is triggering my entries, right? Because we're here to learn. But I prefer almost to respond to questions. So, one, if you're here and you're watching the stream, please give it a like. That helps us. If you have any questions or want to know anything, just type it into the YouTube chat. I'm getting used to keeping an eye on it if I don't answer you right away. One, there is a delay on YouTube, and two, it'll take me a minute to glance over and see the question and whatnot, but love to talk about anything you'd like to talk about trading related. It is trying to push up, but as I said, we do have a lot of resistance here. So it's going to have to grind its way through there, and that's going to be a lot of ups and downs and jiggles and bounces and ins and outs before it gets into this open space here. So I don't want to get into that and then get stopped out while it does the hokey pokey. Now, we can see that there are a number of features, a swing high, a previous day point of control, in this trajectory. But here on MT4, You know, it shows what these order blocks are. I don't know. This is a kind of an accuracy of this indicator is incredible, and that's one of the reasons it makes using MT4 is as part of my mix here is indispensable, even though I'm not using a broker through MT4 or anything. I'm, you know, trading futures on Tradeovate. But having this Renko, having that support and resistance indicator on MT4, which is the best one I've found, you know, it just it makes having MT4 indispensable. All right, so our next point of inflection is probably going to be 9 p.m. It's 8:33 now. So this is a good time for us to talk about stuff. If you have questions, happy to tell you anything I can about trading spot gold and futures. I like to say this is where the adults come to trade. Yeah, you know, I'd like to take that. It feels like it wants to go. Just I gotta let it go by. We are seeing the dollar increase in strength over here, down here on the bottom left. Right? gold is priced in dollars, so when the dollar goes up, gold tends to come down. Now, it doesn't happen immediately. It's not like an immediate inverse relationship as if they were quantumly entangled. That's not the way it is. But you just start getting a feel for how gold moves, how your indicators. Now you start working with a series of indicators, and you start drilling into them and learning how they react in each market situation. And one of the hardest things about trading is learning all of the market situations. Right? When you first sit down to start trading, and one, you can't really tell the difference between the way the market's moving on day 1, day 2, day 3. It takes you a little while to figure out the nuance of, okay, the market's moving a little bit different right now than it was yesterday or that it was this afternoon, and what those differences are. And really the best way to learn that is by spending time on the charts. Hours and hours and hours and hours on the charts. And when you're starting, you're also dealing with the kind of the two opposing needs. One, you have a need to spend hours and hours and hours on the charts trading, even if it's demo account trading. But on the other hand, and this is another thing that you don't realize at the beginning, you have to be fresh when you're on the charts. You have to have a sharp mind. And if you spend, in my case, if I spend longer than 90 minutes on the charts, I'm starting to get decision fatigue. I'm starting my trades decrease in quality. I tend to bend a rule, and it's not good. My read on the market deteriorates. And so on one hand, you got to spend time on the charts. You just got to spend a lot of time on the charts. But on the other hand, you also have to divide that up into chunks where that time is benefiting you and that you're developing intuition. You can read about how to ride a bike. But until you actually climb up on a bike and feel your way into what it takes to balance the bike or how to control the bike on a turn, you can read about it all you want, but it's time on the bike that's going to teach it to you, that's going to help you learn it. Okay, we've started to see gold come down. The dollar come down. Right here we see two blue candles. So that gives gold permission to keep pushing up if it wants to. I don't literally mean give permission. I mean, it just, when the dollar's coming down, gold is cheaper to buy for foreign buyers. And so if they're waiting for a moment to buy or for a good entry, then as the dollar comes down, that's a good entry. Okay, but now gold wants to come down too. Sometimes it makes no sense. Oh, take that. Look at that. I see. What was the reason for that? Trump just tweet something? He probably did. What do we got? No. Okay, so you see, we look at this over here on this 1 minute. You'll see that price spiked up into that and then just had to flip right around. It hit, you know, a bunch of passive sellers, I guess, or a lot of stop losses and you know, which are essentially buy orders, but then you had a big institutional player that sold into those buys and is now driving price down. We'll see. You know, we're not sure. We do not know for sure what the story is. We can only create a narrative based on what we see in the statistics. The narrative does not have to be true for us to be right. What do I mean by that? It doesn't matter whether those were passive sellers or aggressive sellers that drove the price up into those stop losses to be able to sell at a higher price, to buy at a higher price, to later sell, buy back at a lower price, excuse me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which is behaving which way, we can see the behavior. And so we just need to be aware of it, and we like to label it. So we say, up here, we've got a lot of passive sellers or aggressive sellers, but there they are. Look at how much that's chopping up into there and then coming back down. And those aren't insignificant. Those are that's a 3 pip range. I guess we really want to look at it for what it is. It should probably look more like that. I had that open quite a bit because it had consolidated there and I was trying to see the movements, but really there's not significant movement going on there. Except now, we do seem to be coming down. But see, the problem here with this, the way that it's trading tonight, is if you get in late, the move's over. And that's what getting in late is, right? But what I mean here is, like, for goodness sake, really? So I reversed the trade. I lost 15 or so going into this trade. And so I flipped it. I'd like to make that back. I'm a 10 up, 11 up, 7 up, 8 up, There we go. Now if I do that, if I close it there, I'm back in positive for the night, except for commissions and fees. But, you know, call that one another break even. I'm not even going to write it down because this isn't even, this is terrible trading tonight. But at least we're looking out here to not lose money. Rule number 1 of investing, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't lose money. Right, we've got just about a minute and 10 seconds until it is 9 p.m. in New York, and that signals the opening of more markets in Asia. See some traders trying to front run that movement. Must be thinking price is going to be going down, or it is already the market maker doing a liquidity gradient down here. Be careful of that. It could continue right at 9. It could immediately reverse. You don't want to get into the trade right at 9. You want to let the algorithms battle it out a little bit until you see a clear direction. How do you know when you see a clear direction? Again, it's a little bit of spending time on the charts and doing this enough times to see when clear directions begin to take form. It's kind of an intuition thing. There it is, 9 o'clock right there, slamming down. That is a clear direction. That is a clear direction. Hang on, it's already coming back up. It's already coming back up. Look at here, we've got a lot of aggressive buyers coming into that. But that was too much of a move. All right, so we've got either more algorithms reacting to that, or more aggressive buyers coming in and pushing that up, and also profit taking. People who were already in a sell and saw that slam down, and the first thing they did was get out and take those profits. Either way, price is coming back up. Now that was what I would probably call, a liquidity grab. That was brutal. If you happen to be in a buy, you got stopped out, and hopefully you didn't get you didn't blow your account. Just not sure what's going on here, so I'm not getting in. Look at that. That was a huge drop. Would have been nice to be in a sell as that happened. Of course, those were some of the Asian markets having their first opportunity to react to Friday's NFP. That would have been a good buy. Oh. Again, just a story I'm making up that about the Asia market having its first chance to react to the Friday NFP print because the market was closed. This is their first, and then they had a bank holiday, so this is their first chance to trade that. That's probably what happened there. But it also could just be some guy in Russia has a lot of gold and he has a gun to his head, and somebody sell all your gold right at 9 p.m. New York time. And then, offed him. Or didn't off him, offloaded his gold. And that's what drove the price down. You don't know, you never know for sure. You don't, unless you can know the motivations of every market player. You can only build a narrative based on what you know about how investors, traders think. Okay, we're starting to push through these resistances, so we keep going up. Still got some resistance above us, but we are breaking through better than I thought we would. Now, to be honest, it did it more difficult for us to go down than to go up. But either way, this is not good trading. Okay. Looks like we might be coming down again. Do I want to try to trade this though? Whoa. Slipped. Showed me 30. I only got out with 10 because it was coming back on me. And again, in this kind of unpredictable market, I'm not risking it. I got slipped. It showed me $30 of profit very quickly, at which point I clicked out, but by the time my copier and everything got me out, it had already slipped me back to positive $10. Maybe even only 9. I did figured we would going further down, but it just, not risking it in this market. So we hit the WPP, and again, we should be rebounding up. I'd like to get in on that, but I'm not doing it quite yet. Something's telling me, my spidey sense is telling me not to get in on a buy right here. My spidey sense has been off before, but you gotta stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Right, well, I think I'm going to call it here. It is 9:15. I am up $7 for the session, you know, which is nothing. In fact, with fees and commissions, I'm actually down about $11 across all the accounts. I'll be back on tomorrow morning, 7:45 a.m. Hope to see you there.